Hello and welcome to BusyWorksBeats.com. Today I'm going to show you how to turn your beatbox into an actual beat using Suno Studio. So let's hop straight into it. Suno Studio is the new tech from Suno, and this thing is incredible. So just to give you guys an example of what it could do, I had this beat here just to show you guys a quick example of just stuff I was having fun with. Here's a beat that I made. And I just needed some bongos to go with that beat. So I generated custom bongos for this beat and different variations of the bongo. And it helped the rhythm. So this is what Suno Studio can do for you. So firstly, let's hop into Logic Pro, and I'm going to record to a BPM. The reason this came from outside, so I'm super sweaty. So the reason I don't record inside of Suno Studio is because I'm recording video. It causes a weird issue with the inputs on the audio, but you can record into Suno Studio. I want to make a caveat though. When you do record into their software, I've noticed the quality is almost like it has a filter over it like this. So you're not going to give it the best quality of your vocal. So if you do have a DAW, I'd recommend you guys record in the DAW and import the audio into Suno Studio. I don't know if they've changed anything, but that's how it was when I used it. So let's record a beat. So Michael Jackson, for example, when he would make his songs like Beat It or whatever the song is, like he would beatbox it first and create a demo around it, and he'd sing a melody. So let's do that today. Let's create like a 80s type vibe. Actually, probably need the BPM a little higher than that. Let's go to 112. Let's create like a Michael Jackson style song. Let's record. Okay. Woo! Sweating over here. All right, y'all. So we have 16 bars of the beatbox. Okay, now let's start creating melody. We're going to duplicate this track. Now we're starting in Logic Pro because this is just the DAW I use for video. All right, now let's sing a bass line or hum a bass line. Boom, 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 boom. I ran out of breath, y'all, so this is why we do it. Woo! This is why we do it in a DAW. Okay, let's drag this back to the 5th bar and just kind of keep recording here. Now, this is a really sloppy way to record, but I don't have time to be going through everything here. So let's go back a little bit because I ran out of breath. Boom, 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 boom. I think that's all I can. I'm going to run out of breath if I keep going. All right, so that's 8 bars of that. We'll just duplicate this over, and hopefully this matches. So luckily that matches. All right. Smash the like button to add more oxygen to my lungs. I don't know how MJ did this. Okay, now we need a melody. So we have our bass line, we have the beatbox. Now we need the main melody, and then I'll stop there because I don't want to do harmonies. So, I don't even know. Boom, 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 Okay, so wee-hoo. All right, now we need to export this whole thing. So we're going to give Suno different Actually, let me think. You know what we should do? Let's export the stems from here, because what we want to do is take these tracks and drag them individually into Suno and generate per thing. So hopefully I'm making sense here. So what we're going to do in Logic, go to File, let's go to Export, and let's go All Tracks as audio files. So we'll create stems here. Let's do 32-bit float. That's the highest quality wave. Let's go to the desktop and hide options if you ever get lost. And let's create a folder called like Suno Studio Beatbox. I am actually sweating over here. All right, let's export it. All right, so now we have everything exported. Let's go back to Suno Studio. Let's go to the Suno website here. Let's go to the main tab for those who aren't familiar. There's a new tab called Studio. So this is what I've been using for really specific stuff. Let's go to Suno Studio. What we need to do is upload each individual audio file one by one. So let's go to File. I'm not sure if we could drag and drop in here. I'm not sure, but let's go to File, New Project. Let's see if we could drag and drop. That would save time, but I'm not sure that that's a feature just yet. Let's see if this works. Then oh, okay, cool. Well, now we know you can drag and drop. Now let's also grab the BPM from our project. So it's 112 BPM. Down here, we're going to double click on here and let's go to manual and let's type in, actually, I don't think we need to do manual, or do we? Yeah, we do it. Never mind. Go to manual, type in 112 BPM. So this should give us the same amount of bars, assuming that we started at the right place. So let's left click here at the top. See here where it says uploading. So what it's doing right now is analyzing the audio file, something that's unique to Suno Studio. All right, so now we have that. So that's really convenient. You could just drag and drop. I didn't know you could do that. Okay, cool. You learn something every day. So let's do this again. Let's see if we could do multiple tracks. We're going to highlight all these. Now this would be convenient if it could do multi-tracks. No, okay. So it only does one track at a time, which is fine. All right, so it's mic 2. We need mic 4. And again, we want to make sure that everything starts here at the 1. We don't want it to start beforehand, just so everything lines up perfectly. So just double check to make sure everything starts right at that 1. And lastly, we need the mic. Okay. So this should, in theory, sound exactly like what you guys just heard in Logic Pro. The mess you heard in Logic Pro should sound the exact same. So part of the bass line that we just did, it's a little out of key because I was just kind of going with my gut. So there are some notes that are out of key. So I'm curious how Suno Studio will address that. In the meantime, let's rename this and let's call this Suno Studio. And let's call this Beatbox to Beat. All right. All right, now we should hear the same exact audio. So what I'm going to do that's a little bit different than my usual is we're going to generate a song. So not just instruments here. We're going to generate a song. Let's highlight a blank track or just hit add track. We're going to highlight the whole 16 bars in this case. We could get rid of the excess, but I'm going to leave it there. In the bottom here, we're going to go to where it says song, and we're going to say style. We're going to say disco, funk, you know, kind of any word to describe Michael Jackson. You guys could go to your favorite LLM and have it convert Michael Jackson into, actually, let's do it here. I'm going to use Grok because it's fast. So let's say create a comma separated list of keywords that describe Michael Jackson's music. Now I'll say his earlier styles. Don't use celebrity names. We want to avoid celebrity names because of how Suno works. So it should give us a list of keywords we can use. All right, so that's how we translate Michael Jackson into a sound here. So let's copy and paste that. So you can click here to expand this. Let's go to style. We're going to copy and paste that exact keyword set. We don't want any lyrics. If there were lyrics in you guys' recording, it will automatically transcribe your lyrics, okay? So let's create, and I'll pause the video, but this should not take very long. All right, so that was less than about 30 seconds. So let's hear what it has generated. It generated two things in our workspace. It generated this one. So to access, what people don't realize is you have takes. So here I didn't realize this at all until just now. So it created two variations of the song. So if you zoom in where it says show take lanes, it has two versions of an idea. So we're listening to idea number 1. Now, if we click on 2, I wonder how we kind of sound. Okay, you have to hit this little speaker icon, and this is idea 2. So we actually have two ideas here. So one thing it did not do is create drums. I thought it was going to create an entire song. It only did the guitar rhythm. So let's go to add track. Okay, we're going to highlight the same area. And this time we're going to click on where it says drums. We're going to do the same exact prompt, okay, and just create. So in the meantime, this should take the rhythms that it hears from our audio and it will line up the transients to create its own groove with its own tone. And we'll see if it creates two versions. Okay, so it does create two versions. I didn't notice that before. So like I said, you guys, there's always something to learn with Suno Studio. All right, so let's see which version of the guitar we like in terms of rhythm. Personally, I like version 1. It sounds very 80s. This one's a little darker. It has more of a modern touch to it. So we're going to go with the version 1 in this case. And let's see what else we have. So we have drums. So let's mute our drums and let's mute. Let's see what they added here. All right, so now let's start unlocking the tracks, one by one here. So we have the drum, and let's mute stuff that we don't want. Now this does have a little bit of background noise in it, so let's see what version 2 came up with. This is way smoother. Okay, so remember I did the bass in 2 takes. We need to generate a bass line. So let's go to new track or add track. And I like to organize my stuff visually so I'm not just looking everywhere. We're going to highlight this entire 16 bar area here. Let's click here where it says bass and just do create. So I didn't realize, again, that it does multiple takes. This is interesting because what I used to do was create multiple tracks, 4 different takes. So apparently you get 2 versions per generation. So we pick the best of the guitar, we pick the best of the drums. This is what producers do if they're recording a band anyhow. Rick Rubin isn't sitting there recording the drums and the guitars the same way Dr. Dre is not necessarily recording the orchestra himself. Okay, he has people who play the stuff and then he picks the best of that, those takes. This is what we do with artists. So Suno Studio, a lot of people think you just click and go. I found that this is more of like an actual studio session. So it's a back and forthness, and it actually could take the same amount of time a real studio session would take. Now, if you want fast generations, we could do that all day. But when you want to craft out your own thing, this is like recording somebody in an actual studio. It's the same exact process. The only difference is the computer gives you more iterations here. Let's mute the bass that we created. That bass is in the pocket. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Wow, so I don't know which track has like talking at the end, but that's neither here nor there. So the last thing we need to do is get this melody. So in the beginning, some of it is in the style of, but let's create a different vocal. Let's do vocal. We want a main vocal. Background vocals are for just harmonies and stuff. Let's do the same exact style. And let me see here. Lyrics. Let's see if it knows the lyrics here. Okay, so on the right side, it has lyrics. So what might be smarter to do is actually remix this. I'm trying to think. Let's do this. Let's click on the audio melody, hit remix, do a cover. And it will use that audio as an audio input. And hopefully this lines up. I'm not sure it will line up though. So let's just hit create and just see what happens. Now I'm going to do that generation versus doing one straight inside of Suno Studio. Now we're not going to do this with vocal. I just want to see what it does to figure out the vocal. Okay, so the one difference I'm noticing is when you guys saw me hit remix and cover, what it did was it added instruments. So I think that was because of the prompt. But if you guys hear this, this is the, I don't know why it's not, there we go. See how it's creating a full track from the audio? I just wanted the vocals, but it added other stuff. So that's not what I wanted. So I think when you create inside of Suno Studio, it gives you only vocals. And this is why Suno Studio is so important. It's on the Premiere plan, if you guys are wondering. And basically, if you guys, are confused by it, you still get a ton of credits that you're going to use anyway. So let's go to where it says vocal. See how this is just the vocal? Okay, so let's hear the vocal. Let's mute the original. Let's run this back. So I like that take. I just want to see what the other one sounds like. Now this one cuts through more. Oh, this is hard. This literally must how it feels to be like a real producer in a studio producing a record, but you're not the instrument player. So that's why beat maker and producer were two different things. It's because the producer doesn't necessarily make the beat. They don't necessarily play the guitar, but they know how to get the right idea going. And this is like bringing back the actual role of a producer. Let's add another track in here. What I want here is just backing vocals. I'm not going to give it lyrics. I want to see if it harmonizes against the main vocal lead melody. If that happens, then we are cooking, ladies and gentlemen. We are cooking, not cooked. We are cooking. As you guys can see, this is a very creative process. This is not just like, again, you can do the, hey, add a prompt, make my own lyrics, do it all for me. That's fine. But if you want to have fun, this is where Suno Studio comes into play. This is the fun of being a producer, is the arrangement, is the idea generation, is the rearranging of stuff. Okay, it's that human input that makes it fun. So anybody can generate anything and just put it up, but it's not necessarily fun. It's exciting to hear the results, but it's not always the fun. It was what I'm trying to say is the fun is in the process. Let's hear what the background vocal track sounds like. That's cool. I want to hear the tone of the second verse version. Yeah. So at the end it gets a little funky, but I don't care. Instrumental. So what I'm doing here is labeling each track, because what we will do is bring this back into Logic for a final mix. If you guys just want a quick website, you can go to Aria Mastering. That's what industry insiders use to basically master their track in a matter of seconds. It does cost per track, but Aria Mastering is really good. If you just want, you don't need to learn mixing and all that. Just throw it through Aria Mastering. It will figure it out for you. So vocals version 2. This is crazy, y'all. We literally produced this, and it feels like, let's call this background vocals 2. We are becoming Quincy Jones, RIP. Man, shout out to Quincy Jones. What a legend. Now I can understand their perspective on music is just different, because they're going by the feel and the emotion, because they're not in it on, okay, I played 3 chords, so I got my dopamine out of that. What they get the dopamine out of is the arrangement, the dynamic, and it changes your perspective of how you create, in my opinion. Okay, so anything that I didn't name specifically, I don't need. Actually, I'm missing one. Oh, wait. I don't know. Do I have to name this one? Did not realize that. Let's call this drums version 2. Okay, so you can name individual ones. I didn't notice that at first. So we have instrumental version 1, use. I'll just put use because I'm not sure if it's going to stem out muted tracks or not. So I'm not sure what it stems out. So let's go to export. We're going to extract these as stems. And then from here, we can go back into Logic Pro to organize all of these stems and ultimately mix and master them. So this is the final step. I might skip ahead in the video because mixing can take some time, and I just don't want to eat up a bunch of time. So let's see where we're at as far as time. I might pause the video here. So I want to make some notes just so you guys understand what to expect. It does export everything. So even the stuff I muted, it still exports that as well. So I have to go through and mute this, and I'll mix this so it sounds a little bit different. All right, so when I did the multi-tracks, it did not give me every single track, so I'm not sure what actually happened here. So what I'm doing as a workaround is I'm soloing the tracks that I actually want. In this case, this is the guitar rhythm track. We're gonna hit solo, then go to export full song. I'm gonna have to do this per thing because the stem thing is not working right. So what it does is it exports a song. We could download this like this, all right? So that's how you can download the stems if you guys have an error. All right, so now I got the stems. That's the workaround. If you guys ever have extract stem errors, that's how you guys can fix it. So now everything's in Logic Pro. What we could do is just group these. I'll just show you guys how I'm gonna mix this. We're gonna highlight these, hit Shift, highlight all these, create what's called a track stack. We're gonna do a summing stack. Let's call this the song mix, and then we can mix individual stuff like the drums. So I'm gonna sit here and mix this, but I'll show you guys the chain once I'm done. All right, so the mix could be better, but I don't want to spend like 2 hours on this. So here's what it sounds like after the mix. Oh, baby. Let's see what it sounds like before the mix in Suno Studio and then compare it to after. So here's the before mix. Actually, let me unlock the tracks. All right, so here's the before. Oh, baby. So everything has this even tone. Nothing is really standing out. So here's with the mix. Oh, baby. So the mix sounds way more punchy, way more dynamic. If you guys want the full course, just go to busyworksbeats.com. You guys can find the Suno Studio course there. I'll show you guys not only how to prompt Suno, but how to take it out of Suno and become a music producer and mix your tracks and arrange stuff. So thank you guys for watching. It's Game from busyworksbeats.com. Peace out, guys.